should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area. This should be played. This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Shalom, Salamah, Siyemi, Shalom, family of bride.
He's still up.
Yeah.
Shalom, family. Shalom.
Oh, sis. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, goodness.
Shalom, family. What was y'all laughing at? I don't think I quite.
No, we be having the realest conversations like right before we about to go live.
You're so silly.
So did. All right. Well, I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning on in. Oh, sis, thank you so much for that good comedy right there. We needed that because it was like right the last couple of seconds you start trying to share that recipe and we get
Y'all.
And I don't think, and the thing about it, she kept going because I don't think she heard you, brother. I don't think she heard
right.
I didn't.
It's all to the good though. But let's see here. Go ahead and add this into the stream. Go ahead and get right on up and ready. So last time we left off on chapter 20, 21. Actually left on chapter 20. Let's see here. A little bit of a recap. Goodness. Yeah, taking that week off did kind of hurt though, but I kind of had to. I had some interruptions that was going to be interrupting going live. So now those interruptions are all gone. So now we can get back on them. All right. So yeah, so we see the king of Egypt right here that was getting ready to mess with Sarah. And yeah, Abimelech. Yeah. And they got punished. Oh, you got that echo in your phone. Or something. All right. Let's go ahead and try to catch back on up in chapter 21. We're probably only going to do like 7 chapters tonight, family, because I noticed like the last 2 lives being like almost, the last one was almost 4 hours. The one before that was like 3 hours and 27 minutes. And I really don't want to take a bunch of people's time because I really would like for people to actually be able to watch these and enjoy these all the way through. And not just for the 18 and 21 minutes that they've really been catching. So let's try to jump on in and get right back into everything. Definitely want to say what's up to Shauna Shade, Shalom, Miss B, and everybody else is getting ready to tune on in, family. Sure enough, appreciate you. So let's go ahead and get it jumping right quick. Set my phone down here. All right. And it was at that time, at the end of the year and 4 months, when Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Philistines in Gerar, that Elohim visited Sarah. And Yahuwah remembered her, and she conceived and bare a son to Abraham. And Abraham called the name of the son which was born to him, which Sarah bare to him, Yishak. And Abraham circumcised his son Yishak at 8 days old. And Elohim had commanded, as Elohim had commanded Abraham to do unto his seed after him. And Abraham was 100 and Sarah 99 years old, or 90 years old, when Yishak was born to them. And the child grew up, and he was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast upon the day that Yishak was weaned. And Shem and Eber and all the great people of the land, and Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and his servants, and Phicol, the captain of his host, came to eat and drink and rejoice at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of his son Yishak being weaned. Also Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor, his brother, came from Haran, they and all belonging to them, for they greatly rejoiced on hearing that a son had been born to Sarah. And they came to Abraham, and they ate and drank at the feast which Abraham made upon that day of Yishak being weaned. And Terah and Nahor rejoiced with Abraham, and they remained with him many days in the land of the Philistines. At that time, Serug, the son of Reu, died in the first year of the birth of Yishak, son of Abraham. And all the days of Serug were 239 years, and he died. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was grown up in those days. He was 14 years old when Sarah bare Yishak to Abraham. And Elohim was with Ishmael, the son of Abraham. And he grew up, and he learned to use the bow and became an archer. And when Yishak was 5 years old, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Yishak and seated himself opposite to him. And he took the bow and drew it and put the arrow in it and intended to slay Yishak. All right, got you back, bro. All right, so we see that Ishmael had drew his bow, put an arrow in it, and he was getting ready to slay Yishak right here. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Yishak, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham and said to him, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son, for thus did he seek to do unto him this day." And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, and he rose up early in the morning, and he took 12 loaves and a bottle of water, which he gave Hagar, and sent her away with her son. And Hagar went with her son to the wilderness, and they dwelt in the wilderness of Paran with the inhabitants of the wilderness. And Ishmael was an archer, and he dwelt in the wilderness a long time. And he and his mother afterward went to the land of Egypt, and they dwelt there. And Hagar took a wife for her son from Egypt, and her name was Meribah. And the wife of Ishmael conceived and bare 4 sons and 2 daughters. And Ishmael and his mother and his wife and children afterward went and returned to the wilderness. And they made themselves tents in the wilderness, in which they dwelt. And they continued to travel and then to rest monthly and yearly. And Elohim gave Ishmael flocks and herds and tents on account of Abraham his father, and the man increased in cattle. And Ishmael dwelt in deserts and in tents, traveling and resting for a long time, and he did not see the face of his father. And then some time after, Abraham said to Sarah his wife, "I will go and see my son Ishmael, for I have a desire to see him, for I have not seen him for a long time." And Abraham rode upon one of his camels to the wilderness to seek his son Ishmael, for he heard that he was dwelling in a tent in the wilderness with all belonging to him. And Abraham went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked for Ishmael, and he found the wife of Ishmael sitting in the tent with her children. And Ishmael, her husband, and his mother were not with them. And Abraham asked the wife of Ishmael, saying, "Where has Ishmael gone?" And she said, "He has gone to the field to hunt." And Abraham was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get off to the ground, as he had sworn to his wife Sarah that he would not get off from the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, "My daughter, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued for the journey, or from the journey." And Ishmael's wife answered and said to Abraham, "We have neither water nor bread." And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abraham. Neither did she ask him who he was. And she was beating her children in the tent, and she was cursing them. And she also cursed her husband Ishmael and reproached him. And Abraham heard the words of Ishmael's wife to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. And Abraham called to the woman to come out to him from the tent. And the woman came and stood opposite to Abraham, for Abraham was still mounted upon the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's wife, "When thy husband Ishmael returneth home, say these words to him. A very old man came from the land of the Philistines, and came hither to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou wast not here, he spoke unto me and said, When Ishmael thy husband returneth, tell him thus did this man say. When thou comest home, put away this nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead." And Abraham finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent, and his wife spoke these words to him, "A very old man from the land of the Philistines came to seek thee, and thus was his appearance and figure. And I did not ask him who he was, and seeing thou wast not at home, he said to me, When thy husband cometh home, tell him, Thus saith the old man, Put away the nail of the tent which thou hast placed here, and place another nail in its stead." And Ishmael heard the words of his wife, and he knew that it was his father, and that his wife did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words that he had spoken to his wife. And Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father. And Ishmael cast off that woman, and she went away. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another wife, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he then dwelt. And then at the end of 3 years, Abraham said, "I will go again and see Ishmael my son, for I have not seen him for a long time." And he rode upon his camel and went to the wilderness. And he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael. And his wife came out of the tent, and she said, "He is not here, my lord, my Adonai, for he has gone to hunt in the fields and to feed the camels." And the woman said to Abraham, "Turn in, my Adonai, into the tent, and eat a morsel of bread, for thy soul must be wearied on account of the journey." And Abraham said to her, "I will not stop, for I am in haste to continue my journey, but give me a little water to drink, for I have thirst." And the woman hastened and ran into the tent, and she brought out water and bread to Abraham, which she placed before him, and she urged him to eat. And he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted, and he blessed his son Ishmael. And he finished his meal, and he blessed Yahuwah. And he said to Ishmael's wife, "When Ishmael cometh home, say these words to him. A very old man from the land of the Philistines came hither, and asked after thee, and thou wast not here. And I brought him out bread and water, and he ate and he drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael thy husband cometh home, say unto him, The nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent." And Abraham finished commanding the woman, and he rode off to his home, to the land of the Philistines. And when Ishmael came to his tent, his wife went forth to meet him with joy and a cheerful heart. And she said to him, "An old man came here from the land of the Philistines, and thus was his appearance. And he asked after thee, and thou wast not here. So I brought out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael thy husband cometh home, say to him, The nail of the tent which thou hast is very good. Do not put it away from the tent." And Ishmael knew that it was his father, and that his wife had honored him, and Yahuwah blessed Ishmael. So, real quick, family, from that chapter right there, that was something really, really good. You know. Let's see. Can't unmute you. Y'all gotta unmute yourselves, family. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. I remember reading that chapter there, man. Yeah, I was I was real touched by that chapter, you know what I mean? Because what I got from that chapter was like that, because I really kind of found that, you know what I'm saying? Like, here we go with a differ from Genesis to Jasher again with that part of the story, you know what I mean? You didn't, you get a better understanding of Ishmael and Abraham's relationship. It wasn't like he just, in Genesis, it's kind of like he just forgot about Ishmael. Ishmael went living wild, and it just was, that. But you know what I mean. But it it gives a better understanding of their relationship that they actually had one. You know what I mean?
Joshua definitely puts in perspective a real relationship with the people. They're not just characters anymore. It really just brings it to life. Um, just like, I might not see my sister all the time, but we do have interactions with one another that continue our relationship. And that's definitely what Jasher is doing.
Well, we can definitely also see the difference between not just the relationships and things like that, but you know the type of, I guess I would say for us men, the type of woman that we would like to try to have to be
Right,
blessed, and the type of
right,
man that we're supposed to be, you know, for that woman as well. You'd also see that here because I guess with the relationship, I mean, it's not really spoken of, but we can see that if Ishmael's first wife, you know what I'm saying, that he had all these kids with, just because he had all these kids with her doesn't mean their relationship was on point, you know?
Right.
And
right.
so while him and his mom was out on the hunt and whatnot, um, they sat, she was in the tent beating the kids and cursing them and cursing their dad and everything else, and going to
Sounds
tell
like some
Abraham,
relationships we know of.
right, and going to tell Abraham that they don't have no bread or water, nothing to give him. We ain't got nothing for you, you know.
How many baby mamas are just like this?
Hmm. I
I mean,
mean,
it
Right.
it goes to the time that we're in right now. It definitely shows us how it relates to the relationships that we continue to have till this day. And I think if the church had did a better job of just really bringing this information, I think we'll all be in a very different place than we are now.
there's some of that still. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
totally, I, I totally agree with that in the sense of because I think when we sit here and look at this story here, you know, we getting a lot of moral tips too. Because when he went there, this is kind of, this kind of my area when I kind of looked at it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I kind of looked at it through I'm gonna put my southern glasses on for this one, kind of in a way. It was the hospitality part of it, and then it was a moral standpoint of where, what I'm saying, kind of where, you could see an ungodly woman, what I'm saying, and then um the woman with morals, you know what I mean, and you
Mm-hmm.
see the switch of, you know exactly how when Abraham went over there, and Abraham, and you see that there, what I'm saying, in a way Abraham just told him, like, just put her away, like, and it's crazy that he would just, like you said, he even had a lot of children when he still said, like, put it away, like, you know this is stuff that we don't get, you know what I'm saying, in Genesis. I mean, and it's not to diss Genesis, but it's that you get a better understanding of what's really going on in Genesis.
Mm-hmm. That code talk, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta put that nail away from your tent. Like that nail ain't no good for you.
Right.
That
That's a
code
lot of
talk,
wisdom.
and then yeah, and to keep that tent, keep the second nail. You know what I'm saying? That's a good sturdy nail right there. She gonna keep the tent, in shape for
And
you.
and
Which
and and women, and for us women, we sometimes wonder why the men in our lives leave us.
yeah, it comes a whole
And yeah, I mean, he put her away for the bad things that she was up to, and we are doing those same things today. And I have been guilty of them, so I'm gonna say we. Um, but that hindsight 2020, when you have to go through, that time uh, of loneliness, self-evaluation, if you're lucky, you get to see what you did wrong and how you can make it better.
shown up, shown up. That's good edification right there. Something for all of us to hopefully grow on.
Right, right, right.
Go ahead and make that big for everybody. All right. So chapter 22. And Yishmael then rose up and took his wife and his children and his cattle and all belonging to him, and he journeyed from there, and he went to his father in the land of the Philistines. And Abraham related to Yishmael his son the transaction with the first wife that Yishmael took, according to what she did. And Yishmael and his children dwelt with Abraham many days in that land. And Abraham dwelt in the land of the Philistines a long time. And the days increased and reached 26 years. And after that, Abraham with his servants and all belonging to him went from the land of the Philistines and removed to a great distance. And they came to Hebron, and they remained there. And the servants of Abraham dug wells of water. And Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt by the water. And the servants of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, heard the report that Abraham's servants had dug wells of water in the borders of the land. And they came and quarreled with the servants of Abraham. And they robbed them of the great well which they had dug. And Abimelech, king of the Philistines, heard of this affair. And he, with Phicol, the captain of his host, and 20 of his men, came to Abraham. And Abimelech spoke to Abraham concerning his servants. And Abraham rebuked Abimelech concerning the well of which his servants had robbed him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, as Yahuwah liveth, who created the whole earth, I did not hear of the act which my servants did unto thy servants until this day. And then Abraham took 7 ewe lambs and gave them to Abimelech, saying, take these, I pray thee, for my hands, that it may be a testimony for me that I dug this well. And Abimelech took the 7 ewe lambs, which Abraham had given him, for he had also given him cattle and herds in abundance. And Abimelech swore to Abraham concerning the well. Therefore he called the well Beersheba, for there they both swore concerning it. And they both had made a covenant in Beersheba. And Abimelech rose up with Phicol, the captain of his host, and all his men, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba.
Are you breaking up a little bit?
Oh, I am? Uh-oh. Hmm. That better?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't know, but I don't know what
Yeah, if I'm breaking up, yeah, let me know. Let's see here. All right, so I'll go ahead and continue right back here. And they both made a covenant in Beersheba. And Abimelech rose up with Phicol, the captain of his hosts, and all his men. And they returned to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba. And he was in that land a long time. And Abraham planted a large grove in Beersheba. And he went to it 4 gates, facing the 4 sides of the earth. And he planted a vineyard in it, so that if a traveler came to Abraham, he entered any gate which was in his road, and remained there, and ate and drank, and satisfied himself, and then departed. For the house of Abraham was always open to the sons of men, that passed and repassed, who came daily to eat and drink in the house of Abraham. And any man who had hunger and came to Abraham's house, Abraham would give him bread that he might eat and drink and be satisfied. And anyone that came naked to his house, he would clothe with garments as he might chose, or he might choose to give him, and give him silver and gold, and make known to him Yahuwah, who had created him in the earth. And this did Abraham all his life. And Abraham and his children and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he pitched his tent as far as Hebron. Now, real quick, family, this right here, like, this is the house of Abraham. So this right here, when everybody says that they are of Abraham, when people say that they are the seed of Abraham, this is the kind of seed that we're supposed to be like. As far as that, I can definitely tell. You know, I'm always open for the correction, but this is that being like Abraham. When you set up such a place to where, you know, you take care of people. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I was, going through with my thing, and I had to learn the lesson that came along with mine and trying to do this right here is that I was doing too much. You know, it's a lesson. This part of that lesson I had to learn with everything. And trying to do this right here and live this way. And, it doesn't mean I'm supposed to do that for every single person. That's just me though, I guess. You know. But to be like Abraham is to have this kind of compassion, to have this kind of love for the traveler that comes through, you know, and try to tell them about the Most High that created them. Now, if along that process someone isn't really grateful nor are they compassionate, that's when you got to show them the door.
I think that part comes with. I know Minister Tayu has been talking. Yakoba have been really talking about discerning spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really check out people for who they, not for what they say they are, but for who they actually are. As a woman, I have a problem with um, listening to what men say and not their actions. And that's what the fruit is. The fruit is the actions of a person, what they what they actually do, the fruit that they bring forth to you. Not what they say, not the lip service, but what it is they actually do. And that's what we really have to um, differentiate.
Yeah, I totally agree with the discernment on it. Like we definitely have to have discerning eyes in these last days. We definitely have to have a lot of spiritual discernment and physical discernment when you dealing with a lot of people now. But I take a lot coming from this because in the sense of it, like I said, like I'm from the South, and like I see, my grandma used to always say, you know, I'm kind of going on a little what you call it. I ain't try to be a little brief, but she always used to tell us like we used to get like, chastised for not speaking to people, especially elderly people. There's always a certain type of moral standard that you kind of supposed to have. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna lie, just with that lesson there, with just speaking to people, and even with just speaking to people, sometimes saying hello, how you doing, good morning, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of discern that person's spirit really with, what I'm saying, even with that interaction. And you wouldn't believe how many doors have opened up, just for me, being having that type of moral standard. You know what I mean?
Sure enough. Sure enough. I mean, yeah, the Father will bless you when you doing things within His will, and that's like I was saying. Like I had to find out the hard way with what I was doing. Was I guess I was doing too much. I didn't have a big enough break in between having guests, coming to stay with me and things like that, to where um, I had asked enough questions to this last one, So, and I had to learn. So, and I definitely learned from that. All thanks and praise to the Most High Yah for everything He's given, everything He's taken away, and every lesson that we learn. Because without those, we just gonna be, man, we're gonna be lost for real.
All praise.
Especially if we don't
All
learn from these
praise.
lessons. So I'm grateful to learn the lesson that I had to go through, regardless, and I still don't wish any ill will on that person. It's just I hope the Most High helps them, because I obviously couldn't. So I don't want nothing on me. I don't want no malice in my heart, man. I don't want it. I don't need it.
Ain't that it?
Sure enough. All right. So you see how Abraham's house is supposed to, how his house was run, and he would take care of people, feed them, clothe them, give them silver or gold on their journey, and definitely tell them, make known to him Yahuwah, who had created him in the earth. This did Abraham all his life. And Abraham and his children and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he pitched his tent as far as Hebron. And Abraham's brother Nahor and his father and all belonging to them dwelt in Haran, for they did not come with Abraham to the land of Canaan. And children were born to Nahor, which Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and sister to Sarah, Abraham's wife, bare to him. And these are the names of those that were born to him: Uz, Buz, Kemuel, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Tidlaf, Bethuel, being 8 sons. These are the children of Milcah, which she bare to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And Nahor had a concubine, and her name was Reumah. And she also bore to Nahor Zabak, Gehash, Tashad, or Tahash, and Mecha, being 4 sons. And the children that were born to Nahor were 12 sons, besides his daughters. And they also had children born to them in Haran. The children of Uz, the firstborn of Nahor, were Abai, Hareph, Gadin, Melus, and Deborah, their sister. And the sons of Buz, or Buz, were Barachiel, or Barachel. Man, I'm suffering on this one. Somebody gonna beat me over the head about this. Naamath, Shiva, and Madanu. And the sons of Kemuel were Aram and Rahab. And the sons of Kesed were Anamlech, Meshai, Binan, and Yiphi. And the sons of Hazo were Pildash, Michai, and Ophir. And the sons of Pildash were Arud, Hamam, Mered, and Moloch. And the sons of Tidlaf were Mushan, Kushan, and Mutzi. And the children of Bethuel were Sechar, Laban, and their sister Rebekah. These are the families of the children of Nahor that were born to them in Haran. And Aram, the son of Kemuel, and Rehab, his brother, went away from Haran. And they found a valley in the land by the river Euphrates. And they built a city there. And they called the name of the city after the name of Pethor, the son of Aram. That is Aram Naharim, unto this day. Naharaim. I'll practice on that one. And the children of Kesed also went to dwell where they could find a place. And they went and they found a valley opposite the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they there built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Kesed, after the name of their father. That is the land of Kasdim, unto this day. And the Kasdim dwelt in that land, and they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. And Terah, father of Nahor, and Abraham went and took another wife in his old age. Her name was Pilah, and she conceived and bare him a son, and he called his name Zobah. And Terah lived 25 years after he begot Zobah, and Terah died in that year. That is the 35th year of the birth of Yishak, son of Abraham. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and he was buried in Haran. And Zobah, the son of Terah, lived 30 years, and he begat Aram, Aklis, and Mirik. And Aram, son of Zobah, son of Terah, and had 3 wives, and he begat 12 sons and 3 daughters. And Yahuwah gave to Aram, the son of Zobah, riches and possessions and abundance of cattle and flocks and herds, and the man increased greatly. And Aram, the son of Zobah, and his brother, and all his household journeyed from Haran. And they went to dwell there, where they could find, or they should find a place, for their property was too great to remain in Haran. For they could not stop in Haran together with their brethren, the children of Nahor. And Aram, the son of Zobah, went with his brethren, and they found a valley at a distance towards the eastern country, and they dwelt there. And they also built a city there, and they called the name of thereof Aram, after the name of their eldest brother, that is Aram, Zobah to this day. And Yishak, the son of Abraham, was growing up in those days. And Abraham, his father, taught him the way of Yahuwah, and to know Yahuwah. And Yahuwah was with him. And when Yishak was 37 years old, Ishmael, his brother, was going about with him in the tent. And Ishmael boasted to himself to Yishak, saying, I was 13 years old when Yahuwah spoke to my father and circumcised us, and I did according to the word of Yahuwah which he spoke to my father. And I gave my soul unto Yahuwah, and I did not transgress his word which he commanded my father. And Yishak answered Ishmael, saying, Why dost thou boast to me about this, about a little bit of thy flesh which thou didst take from thy body, concerning which Yahuwah commanded thee? As Yahuwah liveth, the Elohim of my father Abraham, if Yahuwah should say to unto my father, Take now thy son Yishak, and bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but would joyfully accede to it. And Yahuwah heard the word of Yishak, spoke to Ishmael. And it seemed good in the sight of Yahuwah. And he thought to try Abraham in this matter. And the day arrived when the sons of Elohim came and placed themselves before Yahuwah. And Satan also came with the sons of Elohim before Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahuwah said to Satan, What is thy word to me concerning all the children of the earth? And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, I have seen all the children of the earth who serve thee and remember thee, when they require anything from thee. And when thou givest them the thing which they require from thee, they sit at their ease and forsake thee, and they remember thee no more. Hast thou seen Abraham, the son of Terah, who at first had no children, and he served thee and erected altars to thee wherever he came, and he brought up offerings upon them, and he proclaimed the name continually to all the children of the earth? And now that his son Yishak is born to him, he has forsaken thee. He has made a great feast for all the inhabitants of the land, and Yahuwah he has forgotten. For amidst all that he has done, he brought thee no offering, neither burnt offerings nor peace offering, neither ox, lamb, nor goat, of all that he killed on the day that his son was weaned. Even from the time of his son's birth till now, being 37 years, he built no altar before thee, nor brought any offering to thee. For he saw that thou didst give what he requested before thee, and he therefore forsook thee. And Yahuwah said to Satan, Hast thou thus considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like him upon the earth, a perfect and an upright man before me, one that feareth Elohim and avoideth evil. As I live, were I to say unto him, Bring up Yishak thy son before me, he would not withhold him from me. Much more, if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me from his flock of herds. And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, Speak then now unto Abraham, as thou hast said, and thou wilt see whether he will not this day transgress and cast aside thy words. So right there in that chapter, we can see where Ishmael was bragging about his circumcision and that he did what he was supposed to do just for being circumcised. And Yishak tried to one-up him and say that, well, even if, the Most High declared to my dad, bring him up as a sweet savor unto me, I wouldn't even go against it. Said I would gladly go ahead and go through with it. And so the Most High is saying, all right, I see y'all. So Satan comes along and tries to say that all this is a charade, essentially, that they ain't faithful like that, and trying to accuse Abraham of not giving up any more burnt offerings ever since, Ishak being born, and saying he hasn't made any peace offerings or anything to you since his son's birth, and so he's transgressing against you. The Most High is like, nah, he ain't transgressing against me. He fears me, he loves me. Matter of fact, if I was to say to bring Ishak up, thy son up before me, he would not withhold him from me. But Satan don't believe and think that it's all game. So, and at that time, the word of Yahuwah came to Abraham, and he said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said to him, Take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, even Yishak, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which shall be shown to thee. For there wilt thou see a cloud, and the glory of Yahuwah. And Abraham said within himself, how shall I separate my son Yishak from Sarah his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah his wife, and he spoke these words to her. My son Yishak is grown up, and he has not for some time studied the service of his Elohim. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem and Eber his son, and there he will learn the ways of Yahuwah, for they will teach him to know Yahuwah, as well as to know what when he prayeth continually before Yahuwah, and he will answer him. Therefore, there he will know the way of serving Yahuwah his Elohim. And Sarah said, thou hast spoken well. Go my Adonai, and do unto him as thou hast said, but remove him not at a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. And Abraham said unto Sarah, my daughter, let us pray to Yahuwah our Elohim, that he may do good with us. And Sarah took her son Yishak, and he abode all that night with her. And she kissed and embraced him, and gave him instructions till morning. And she said to him, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from thee? And she still kissed him and embraced him. And she gave Abraham instructions concerning him. And Sarah said to Abraham, O my Adonai, I pray take heed of thy son, and place thine eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. O forsake him not, for if he be hungry, give him bread, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. Do not let him go on foot, neither let him sit in the sun, neither let him go by himself in the road, neither force him from whatever he may desire, but do unto him as he may see to thee. And Sarah wept bitterly, and the whole night on account of Yishak, and she gave him instructions till morning. And in the morning Sarah selected a very fine and beautiful garment from those garments which she had in the house that Abimelech had gave to her. And she dressed Yishak her son therewith, and she put a turban upon his head, and she enclosed a precious stone in the top of the turban, and she gave them provisions for the road. And they went forth, and Yishak went with his father Abraham, and some of their servants accompanied them to see them off the road. And Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off. And they said to her, return to the tent. And when Sarah heard the words of her son Yishak, she wept bitterly. And Abraham, her husband, wept with her. And their son wept with them a great weeping. Also those who went with them wept greatly. And Sarah caught hold of her son Yishak, and she held him in her arms, and she embraced and continued to weep with him. And Sarah said, who knoweth if after this day I shall ever see thee again? And they still wept together. And Abraham, Sarah, and Yishak, and all those that accompanied them on the road wept with them. And Sarah afterward turned away from her son, weeping bitterly. And all her men servants and maidservants returned with her to the tent. And Abraham went with Yishak his son to bring him up as an offering before Yahuwah, as he had commanded him. And Abraham took two of his young men with him, Ishmael, the son of Hagar, and Eliezer, his servant, and they went together with them. And whilst they were walking in the road, the young men spoke these words themselves. And Ishmael said to Eliezer, now my father Abraham is going with Yishak to bring him up for a burnt offering to Yahuwah, as he commanded him. Now, when he returneth, he will give unto me all that he possesses, to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eliezer answered Ishmael and said, Surely Abraham did cast thee away with thy mother, and swear that thou shouldest not inherit anything of all he possesses, to whom he will give all that he has, with all his treasures, but unto me his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he desired me. To me will he bequeath at his death all his possessions. And whilst Abraham was proceeding with his son Yishak along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man, humble and of contrite spirit. And he approached Abraham and said to him, Art thou silly or brutish, that thou goest to do this thing this day to thy only son? For Elohim gave thee a son in thy latter days, in thy old age. And wilt thou go and slaughter him this day, because he committeth no violence? And wilt thou cause the soul of thine only son to perish from the earth? Dost thou not know and understand that this thing cannot be from Yahuwah? For Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon earth, to say to him, Go slaughter thy child. And Abraham heard this, and knew that it was the word of Satan, who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of Yahuwah. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him, so that he went away. My bad. And Satan returned and came to Yishak, and he appeared unto Yishak in the figure of a young man, comely and well favored. And he approached Yishak and said unto him, Dost thou not know and understand that thy old silly father bringeth thee to slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man. And let not thy precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from the earth. And Yishak heard this and said unto Abraham, Hast thou heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus has he spoken. And Abraham answered his son Yishak and said to him, Take heed of him, and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him, for he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commands of Elohim. And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them. And seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them. And he went and passed before them in the road, and he transformed himself into a large brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Yishak and his two young men reached that place, and they saw a brook large and powerful as the mighty waters. And they entered the brook and passed through it, and the waters at first reached their legs. And they went deeper in the brook, and the waters reached up to their necks. And they were all terrified on account of the water. And whilst they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Yishak, I know this place in which there is no brook nor water. Now, therefore, it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of Elohim. And Abraham rebuked him and said unto him, Yahuwah rebuked thee, O Satan, be gone from us, for we go by the commands of Elohim. And Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham, and he went away from them, and the place again became dry land as it was at first. And Abraham went with Yishak toward the place that Elohim had told them. And on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which Elohim had told of him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him that reached from the earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory upon the mountain. And the glory of Yahuwah was seen in the cloud. And Abraham said to Yishak, my son, dost thou see that in the mountain, which we perceive at a distance, that which I see upon it? And Yishak answered and said unto his father, I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud, and the glory of Yahuwah is seen upon the cloud. And Abraham knew that his son Yishak was accepted before Yahuwah for a burnt offering. And Abraham said to Eliezer and unto Ishmael his son, do you also see that which we see upon the mountain, which is at a distance? And they answered and said, we see nothing more than the like of the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before Yahuwah to go with them. And Abraham said to them, abide ye here with the ass, whilst I and Yishak my son will go to yonder mount, and worship there before Yahuwah, and then return to you. And Eliezer and Ishmael remained in that place, as Abraham had commanded. And Abraham took wood for a burnt offering and placed it upon his son Yishak. And he took the fire and the knife, and they both went to the place, or to that place. And where they were going along, Yishak said to his father, behold, I see here the fire and the wood, and where then is the lamb that is to be burnt, to be the burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham answered his son Yishak, saying, Yahuwah has made choice of thee, my son, to be a perfect burnt offering instead of the lamb. And Yishak said unto his father, I will do all that Yahuwah spoke to thee with joy and cheerfulness of heart. And Abraham again said unto Yishak his son, Is there in thy heart any thought or counsel concerning this, which is not proper? Tell me, my son, I pray thee. O my son, conceal it not from me. And Yishak answered his father Abraham and said unto him, O my father, as Yahuwah liveth, as thy soul liveth, there is nothing in my heart to cause me to deviate either to the right or the left from the word that he has spoken to thee. Neither limb nor muscle has moved or stirred at this, nor is there in my heart any thought or evil counsel concerning this. But I am joyful and cheerful heart in this. But I am of joyful and cheerful heart in this matter. And I say, blessed is Yahuwah, who has this day chosen me to be a burnt offering before him. And Abraham greatly rejoiced at the words of Yishak. And they went on and came together to that place that Yahuwah had spoken of. And Abraham approached to build the altar in that place. And Abraham was weeping, and Yishak took stones and mortar until they had finished building the altar. And Abraham took the wood and placed it in order upon the altar which he had built. And he took his son Yishak and bound him in order to place him upon the wood which was upon the altar, to slay him for a burnt offering before Yahuwah. And Yishak said to his father, bind me securely, and then place me upon the altar, lest I should turn and move, and break loose from the force of the knife upon my flesh, thereof my flesh, and thereof profane the burnt offering. And Abraham did so. And Yishak still said to his father, O my father, when thou shalt have slain me and burnt me for an offering, take with thee that which shall remain of my ashes to bring to Sarah my mother, and say to her, this is the sweet smelling savor of Yishak. But do not tell her this if she should sit near a well or upon a high place, lest she should cast her soul after me and die. And Abraham heard these words of Yishak, and he lifted up his voice and wept when Yishak spake these words. And Abraham's tears gushed down upon Yishak his son. And Yishak wept bitterly, and he said to his father, Hasten thou, O my father, and do with me the will of Yahuwah our Elohim, as he has commanded thee. And the hearts of Abraham and Yishak rejoiced at this thing which Yahuwah had commanded them. But the eye wept bitterly, whilst the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Yishak, and placed him on the altar upon the wood. And Yishak stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father. And Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son as a burnt offering before Yahuwah. And at that time the angels of mercy came before Yahuwah and spake to him concerning Yishak, saying, O Adonai, thou art a merciful and compassionate king over all that thou hast created in heaven and in earth, and thou supportest them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of thy servant Yishak, and pity, and have compassion upon Abraham and Yishak his son, who are this day performing thy commands. Hast thou seen, O Yahuwah, how Yishak the son of Abraham thy servant is bound down to the slaughter like an animal? Therefore, let thy pity be roused for them, O Yahuwah. And at that time Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham and called to him from heaven, and he said unto him, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim in performing this act, and in not withholding thy son, thine only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in the thicket by his horns. That was the ram which Yahuwah Elohim had created in the earth in the day that he made the earth and heaven. For Yahuwah had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Yishak. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan caught hold of him, and entangling his horns in the thicket, and that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. And Abraham, seeing the ram advancing to him, and Satan withholding him, fetched him, and brought him before the altar, and loosed his son Yishak from his binding. And he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar, and brought it up as an offering in the place of his son Yishak. And Abraham sprinkled some of the blood of the ram upon the altar, and he exclaimed and said, This is in the place of my son, and may this be considered this day as the blood of my son before Yahuwah. And all that Abraham did on this occasion by the altar, he would exclaim and say, This is in the room of my son, and may it this day be considered before Yahuwah in the place of my son. And Abraham finished the whole of the service by the altar, and the service was accepted before Yahuwah, and was accounted as if it had been Yishak. And Yahuwah blessed Abraham and his seed on that day. Man. And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old woman, or of an old man, very humble and meek. And Abraham was not yet engaged in the burnt offering before Yahuwah. And he said unto her, Dost thou not know all the work that Abraham has made with thine only son on this day? For he took Yishak and built an altar and killed him, and brought him up as a sacrifice upon the altar. And Yishak cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men, who had been with her son, and had come and told her these things. And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on account of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head. And she said, O my son Yishak, my son, oh that I had this day died instead of thee. And she continued to weep and said, It grieves me for thee, O my son Yishak, oh that I had died this day in thy stead. And she still continued to weep and said, It grieves me that thee, after that I have reared thee and have brought thee up, now my joy is turned into mourning over thee. I that had a longing for thee, and cried and prayed to Elohim till I bare thee in 90 years old. I prayed, bear thee at 90 years old. And now hast thou served this day for the knife and the fire to be made an offering. But I console myself with thee, my son, in its being the word of Yahuwah, for thou didst perform the command of thy Elohim. For who can transgress the word of our Elohim, in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? Thou art just, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, for all thy works are good and righteous. For I also am rejoiced with thy word which thou didst command. And whilst my eye weepeth bitterly, my heart rejoiceth. And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. And she afterward rose up and went about making inquiries until she came to Hebron. She inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road, and no one could tell her what had happened to her son. And she came with her maid servants and men servants to Kirith Arba, which is Hebron, and she asked concerning her son. And she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Yishak. They went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him. And they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man. And he came and stood before her, and he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto thee, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard the word of her joy was so exceedingly violent on account of her son, that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. All right, so I need to stop right there for just one hot second and be like, wow, all of the faith that we've seen thus far from Yishak, Abraham, and the whole getting ready to go ahead and slay him on the altar, we can definitely see how it reads so much more differently than Genesis, that not only was it just some other servants that came up with Abraham, but Ishmael and Eliezer was right there too. But since they didn't see the flame of and the glory of the Most High upon that mountain, they didn't get to go up, and that they weren't worthy to go up. But just the whole everything, Ishmael sitting here plotting and thinking that, oh, I'm getting ready to get the inheritance now. He's getting ready to go ahead and kill Yishak, and I'm going to get the inheritance. And then Eliezer's like, nah, I'm surely going to get it, because he already said that you ain't getting nothing. You don't get to inherit anything. He sent you and your mama away. But I've been taking care of him faithfully and doing everything, no problem. So I'm going to get it. But neither one of them was worthy to go ahead and all the way get it. And so just the faith of Yishak to go ahead and tell his father all the way through, bind me down tighter. At least I should, break myself free, from when the knife hits me. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wow. Like, it's just, wow. Wow. And then just the different forms in which Satan had tried to stop the whole thing, to break the whole thing up, and then to come to Sarah and tell Sarah what was going on, just to send her into grief, and then turn around and tell her that, oh, I spoke falsely before unto thee, and Abraham didn't kill your son, he's not dead. No, knowing that she's an old woman, so the joy that she had taken in, seeing that her son was not dead, when she just jumped for joy, like just the excitement just killed her. So the whole, all of this, just wow. What y'all got, family?
Definitely, it was a lot. And when I first start hearing about Ishmael and the manservant talking back and forth about how they were going to get his belongings, it brought me back to a very personal moment in my family's history. My mother's brother, by a different father, had two cousins, and the family would give them their hand me downs. Well, when my cousin got a new car, they figured that they would kill the cousin so that they would get the car. Um, and that's just how twisted their minds were. I mean, they plotted to kill him and murdered him. 99% of his body was burned, and he lived only to tell who did it. And then how the sun goes up here on this mountaintop, all the while um, the devil is coming at him. He's got his manservant and his friend AZR. Y'all give me the other name? I couldn't remember it.
Oh, Eliezer and Ishmael.
Ishmael. They're arguing all about the sacrifice. They know he's about to get sacrificed. The only one that doesn't know he's about to get sacrificed, he doesn't know until he gets up on the mountain and his dad says, he's like, well, where's the lamb? He's like, you're the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else knew except for him. So, and the thing with Sarah, the devil knew exactly what he was doing. Or, like when he with Abraham, he was he tried and he tried again, and when something else didn't work, he tried again to tempt him to do evil. And he did the same with Sarah. He assumed Sarah would die as soon as she heard about what was going on, what happened to her son. He figured she would just take her own life. She would, fall on a sword, throw herself down a well, jump off a building, something. And when she didn't, when she went and searched to make sure that this man was telling the truth, he realized that she was going to find out that her son wasn't alive and that he had lied and he wouldn't get the effect that he wanted. So he told her. And that's what ended up killing her. Just the sheer joy, overjoy of knowing that her son was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was muted that whole time. My browser was saying something about it was saying something about I had to refresh or something. I don't know. But I was trying to respond the whole time, man. But what I got from it, man, let's see. I'm gonna start from the jump. What I got from it with it was just so faithful, man. I mean, this story, what I'm saying, even in Genesis, this story has to build your faith in some type of way. You know what I mean? Like this is the when you look at it as double prophecy, this is the gospel. You know what I mean? That is, this is the first. This is really, I ain't gonna say the first, but this is many times, but this is one of the many times that the gospel is actually being in double prophecy. You know what I mean? Because when you really look at the symbolism of Abraham taking his son up to the mountain to get sacrificed, and then look what happened at the scene. He replaced it. He replaced it You know what I'm saying? And he replaced it. And this is the first time you see. Well, I say the first. I keep saying the first time, but one of those times where you see that Messiah prophecy come through right there. You know what I mean? That's that Messiah prophecy of of Yeshua when when the Most High is going to take His Son and sacrifice. You know what I mean? And it's such a faith builder, man. That's all I can say. Really, too much with it. It's such a faith builder. You know what I mean? And that and then Satan. You know what I'm saying? He went to Abraham directly, and he realized that Abraham
Mm-hmm.
is gonna follow through with this. You know what I mean? And he even went to Isaac, and Isaac told Abraham, so it's like, no, I can't go in there, so I'm gonna go over, and I'm gonna go over here. You know what I mean? Then I'm gonna go over there. Like he went to the side people with the whole. So when you sit there and really think about it and analyze it to your own life, you say, well, how much is the enemy fighting me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How many ways is the enemy fighting me? You know what I'm saying? Is the enemy talking to, friends of mine? Is the enemy working through this? Is the enemy working through
Mm.
that? You know what I mean? So when you sit there, like, this is a faith builder, you know what I mean? And it seems like, we all go through our own little warfares, you know what I'm saying, as a believer taking this walk, you know what I mean? And when you sit there and think about the warfare that's coming up against you, that warfare really always shows up when something's when the Most High is about to bless you. You know what I mean? That warfare always pop up. You know what I mean? And like this story here, you know what I mean? Like, even, you know what I'm saying, like I said, like this story and this story just always does something for me. It always is I mean, just everything, I really love reading about Abraham. I don't know how many people really, you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying. I don't know if people have favorite characters or stuff, but you know, I wouldn't say he's my favorite character in the Bible, but I love reading about Abraham because his faith was really, 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 really strong when you really sit there and think about it. And even to the point to where when Sarah was, you could tell that Sarah really had a real mental, physical, everything. Her son was everything to her. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. He
even
was
from the
mama's
even
boy.
yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really had that type of attachment to it. And for the faith of Abraham to know that how much she had you know what I'm saying, this connection with him and how much she meant to him, he still was gonna go through with it. Like, that's faith, you know what I mean? When I said that, we can say how much faith we have, but like, man, like, that's a lot of faith, you know what I'm saying? And when you sit there and think about when the Bible considers when the Bible and the Most High calls Abraham his friend, like, that's why. That's it right there, That's it right there. I mean, this just the faith is, I mean, like, this make me, like, will run through a mountain, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, Shauna Shade said that he had the sacrifice
This
prepared from
this
the
story.
beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to say shout out
Yeah.
to Shauna Shade right here. I want to go and pull this on up, and that's exactly right, because even in the scripture we see that when it says this is the ram that the Most High, that Yahuwah had made in the beginning to be that sacrifice to take place for Yishak. So
right,
this was
right,
already from way from the beginning. You knew that this was
right.
going to happen, knew this day was going to come, and had already had a replacement. Um,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to thank both of y'all tonight because uh, before we got started tonight, I told Ross that I just been beat up, and I think if this word um wasn't meant for nobody else tonight, it was meant for me. Um, just that whole and I really didn't hear it when Ross was reading it. But when our other brother here was talking and just breaking it down, it made me realize what is exactly going on in my woes right now. that unconditional love with your child and clinging on to them and wanting to make them happy by any means necessary, spoiling them and loving on them and trying to be more of their friend than their parents, or not listening to the Most High when you know you've been told to do something and you feel like you want to be swayed from peers or whatever, or just to make your child happy, and how the devil just keeps coming after you, because not only was I getting it from my own child, I was getting it on in a way. Now I can see it with the hindsight 2020. I went to work and I talked about it because I kind of want to talk things out so I can make good, wise decisions, get wise counsel around me. And this is a brother. He used to be in the faith, and I keep talking to him and whatever. And he said something, and he said that during our conversation. And he said, "Well, you should just let her go on and go back to school, and she'll be all right." But in my mind, in my heart of hearts, what I know is that stuff is not right now, and my daughter doesn't need to be at school. And ever since this COVID thing has happened, everything in my body and soul tells me for her not to go back. And so I just been on the fence about, oh, am I making the right decision? Am I doing this right? Am I seeing what it is I'm really seeing? Am I hearing what it is I'm really hearing? And start that the devil is just really working in my life. And I just want all of y'all to say a little prayer for me that he continues to keep me and my family.
I mean, that the Father's working in your life, because
That
the way you said that, like I could see how you could say that the devil's working in your life trying to distract you. But
right.
I think we're definitely gonna pray for that. We're definitely gonna pray
Yeah,
for the Most High
but the word,
cover,
but the word is
and
coming back just to edify and to just reinforce what it is that what I already know in my heart is the right thing to do.
right. And so that's why we with these right here, like brother was saying, these faith build right here, this faith building chapters and verses right here to show us how the devil will constantly try to use anybody and everybody against the word of the Most High to keep you unfaithful from it.
Right. And I want to say this too, sis. With that, like I know you're thankful for, what I'm saying, me and Riles on here, but it's really not me and Riles. These
No,
are
not
not
at
me and
all.
Riles'
Yeah.
words. Me and Riles didn't write this. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
Me and Riles didn't write this, and that's how that's that's the faith right there. The faith is that that he will bring it up. He will. Just the fact that you can say that that word came back up, that means you hearing him. You hearing him. So you go with what he said. Go with the last word on he said. You know what I mean? And that's why the fact that he's bringing it up is that's a good sign. You know what I mean? That's a good sign. Because Abraham heard one word. Remember, he heard one word. Satan came back with the saying. Now he trying to put words in the Most High mouth. Talking about the Most High surely didn't say this, but Abraham heard one word and he stuck with it. You know what I mean? That's the faith right there.
Mm-hmm.
All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the
All
Most High.
praise Most High.
So let's see here. And right here's where I finished off. And she died and was gathered to her people. And when Abraham had finished his service and returned with his son Yishak to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home. And Abraham sought for Sarah and could not find her. And he made inquiries concerning her. And they said unto him, She went as far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone. For thus was she informed. And Abraham and Yishak went to her to Hebron, and when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her. And Yishak fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, O my mother, how hast thou left me? And where hast thou gone? Oh, how hast thou left me? And Abraham and Yishak wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah. And they mourned over her, a great and heavy mourning. Wow. And the life of Sarah was 127 years, and Sarah died. And Abraham rose up from before his dead to seek a burial place to bury his wife Sarah. And he went and spoke to the children of Heth, the inhabitants of the land, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you in your land. Give me a possession of burial. Give me a possession of a burial place in your land, that I may bury my dead from before me. And the children of Heth said unto Abraham, Behold, the land is before thee, and the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead. For no man shall withhold thee from burying thy dead. And Abraham said unto them, If you are agreeable to do this, and entreat for me to Ephron, the son of Zohar, requesting that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which is in the end of his field, and I will purchase it of him for whatever he desire for it. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and they went and called for him, and he came before Abraham. And Ephron said to Abraham, Behold, all that thou requirest, thy servant will do. And Abraham said, No, but I will buy the cave and the field which thou hast for value, in order that it may be for possession of a burial place forever. And Ephron answered and said, Behold, the field of the cave are before thee. Give whatever thou desirest. And Abraham said, Only at full value will I buy it from thy hand, and from the hands of those that go in at the gate of thy city, and from the hand of thy seed forever. And Ephron and all his brethren heard this. And Abraham weighed to Ephron 400 shekels of silver in the hands of Ephron, and in the hands of all his brethren. And Abraham wrote this transaction, and he wrote it and testified it with 4 witnesses. And these are the names of the witnesses: Amagal, son of Abishna, the Hittite; Adaharam, son of Ashana, the Hivite; Abdon, son of Aharam, the Gomerite; and Bakdil, the son of Abudish, the Zedonite. And Abraham took the book of the purchase and placed it in his treasures. And these are the words that Abraham wrote in the book, namely, the cave and the field of Abraham bought from Ephron the Hittite, from his seed, and from those that go in and out of his city, and from their seed forever, are to be a purchase to Abraham and to his seed, and to those that go forth from his loins, for possession of burial place forever. And he put a signet to it, and testified it with witnesses. And the field and the cave that was in it, and all the place, were made sure unto Abraham and unto his seed after him, from the children of Heth. Behold, it is before Mamre and Hebron, which is in the land of Canaan. And after this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah there, and that place and all its boundary became to Abraham, and unto his seed for possession of a burial place. And Abraham buried Sarah with pomp, as observed as the interment of kings, and she was buried in a very fine and beautiful garments. and at her Beer was Shem, his sons Eber and Abimelech, together with Anar, Ashal, and Mamre, and all the grandees of the land followed her Beer. And the days of Sarah were 127 years, and she died. And Abraham made a great and heavy mourning, and he performed the rites of mourning for 7 days. And all the inhabitants of the land comforted Abraham and Yishak his son on account of Sarah. And when the days of their mourning passed by, Abraham sent away his son Yishak, and he went to the house of Shem and Eber to learn the ways of Yahuwah and his instructions. And Abraham remained there 3 years. At that time, Abraham rose up with all his servants, and they went and returned homeward to Beersheba. And Abraham and all his servants remained in Beersheba. And at the revolution of the year, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, died in that year, and he was 193 years old at his death. And Abraham went with his people to the land of the Philistines, and they comforted the whole household and all his servants. And he then turned and went home. And it was after the death of Abimelech that the people of Gerar took Ben Malek, his son, and he was only 12 years old. And they made him lying in the place of his father. And they called his name Abimelech after the name of his father, for thus was their custom to do in Gerar. And Abimelech reigned instead of Abimelech his father, and he sat upon his throne. And Lot, the son of Haran, also died in those days, in the 39th year of the life of Yishak. And all the days that Lot lived were 140 years, and he died. And these are the children of Lot that were born to him by his daughters. The name of the firstborn was Moab, and the name of the second was Ben-Ammi. And the 2 sons of Lot went and took themselves wives from the land of Canaan, and they bare children to them. And the children of Moab were Ed, Maon, Tarsus, and Canville, 4 sons. These are the fathers of the children of Moab unto this day. And all the families of the children of Lot went to dwell wherever they should light upon, for they were fruitful and increased abundantly. And they went and built themselves cities in the land where they dwelt. And they called the names of the cities which they built after their own names. And Nahor, the son of Terah, brother to Abraham, died in those days, in the 40th year of the life of Yishak. And all the days of Nahor were 172 years. And he died and was buried in Haran. And when Abraham heard that his brother was dead, he grieved sadly, and he mourned over his brother many days. And Abraham called for Eliezer, his head servant, to give him orders concerning his house. And he came and stood before him. And Abraham said to him, Behold, I am old, and I do not know the day of my death, for I am advanced in days. Now therefore rise up, and go forth, and do not take a wife for my son from this place and from this land, from the daughters of the Canaanites amongst whom we dwell. But go to my land and to my birthplace, and take from thence a wife for my son. And Yahuwah Elohim of heaven and earth, who took me from my father's house and brought me to this place, and said unto me, To thy seed will I give this land for an inheritance forever. He will send his angel before thee and prosper thy way, that thou mayest obtain a wife for my son from my family and from my father's house. And the servant answered his master Abraham and said, Behold, I go to thy birthplace and to thy father's house, and take a wife for thy son from there. But if the woman be not willing to follow me to this land, shall I take thy son back to the land of thy birthplace? And Abraham said unto him, Take heed that thou bring not my son hither again. For Yahuwah, before whom I have walked, he will send his angel before thee and prosper thy way. And Eliezer did as Abraham ordered him. And Eliezer swore to Abraham his master upon this matter. And Eliezer rose up and took 10 camels of the camels of his master, and 10 men from his master's servants with him. And they rose up and went to Haran, the city of Abraham and Nahor, in order to fetch a wife for Yishak, the son of Abraham. And whilst they were gone, Abraham sent to the house of Shem and Eber, and they brought from thence his son Yishak. And Yishak came home to his father's house in Beersheba, whilst Eliezer and his men came to Haran. And they stopped in the city by the watering place, and he made his camels to kneel down by the water, and they remained there. And Eliezer, Abraham's servant, prayed and said, O Elohim of Abraham, my master, send me, I pray thee good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master, that thou shalt appoint this day a wife for my master's son from his family. And Yahuwah hearkened to the voice of Eliezer, for the sake of his servant Abraham. And he happened to meet with the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, brother to Abraham. And Eliezer came to her house. And Eliezer related to them all his concerns, and that he was Abraham's servant. And they greatly rejoiced at him. And they all blessed Yahuwah, who brought this thing about. And they gave him Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, for a wife for Yishak. And the young woman was of very comely appearance. She was a virgin, and Rebekah was 10 years old in those days. And Bethuel and Laban and his children made a feast on that night. And Eliezer and his men came and ate and drank and rejoiced there on that night. Yeah, I gotta stop and say something for just a hot second. Wow. They're saying Rebekah was 10 years old. Rebekah was 10 years old in those days. So that's, man, that's some faith to take 10 years old, to take a wife that young, and to wait however many years before you're supposed to wait before you can actually consummate the marriage. Because that's not something that me personally or we don't think like that.
Right.
And just the sheer thought of it is kind of like, what? You gotta be kidding me. Like, what? You want me to marry a what? Family. That's why these scriptures are so important to kind of go over to see how the stories went. This is wild.
And another thing, brother. Look,
Mhm.
I'm not talking, but I'm eating some cereal real quick. But
You snacking?
you're right, but it kind of shows really the importance of him marrying a upright woman too. Look at all the trouble he went through. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure he could have just did like Ishmael. You know what I mean? Like Abraham was real firm on him not just taking anybody for a wife either. You see what I mean?
Yeah. You see, like I was saying, the fact that Rebecca being 10 years old at this time right here, like for for Yishak to be, let's see here. It said that at this point in time, let's see here. This is in the what year of Yishak's life? Trying to go back up here. He was like 37 or she was 127. And then he sent Yishak to the house of Shem and Eber to learn the ways of Yahuwah when Sarah died after the funeral.
Not,
What's that?
I saw some numbers just under what you were talking about just a minute ago. I didn't get a good glimpse at it.
Right here, the 127 years old that Sarah was right there. I'm trying to see.
Just a little further down.
All right.
Okay, 93 years old at the death. Okay. Was 100.
Yeah, was Abimelech. He was 193
years old, and he was only 20 years old. Amalek was 20 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
39 years.
39 years old when Lot died. So we're seeing right about 39 years old. Right around 39 years old was Yishak when he took Rebecca for a wife, and she was 10. Yeah, right here, 40 years old when he took Rebecca. We didn't even get to that part yet. But regardless,
I'm really starting to see the benefit of arranged marriage. I mean, I really think what we're doing, I used to kind of look down on arranged marriage, but the way that we've done this whole dating thing, it's almost like you're
Right.
just in a perpetual dating space. Like, I mean, when you're in this dating space, you just get to say, oh, I don't like this, I'm moving on. But when you know that this is supposed to be my husband and he's going to be my husband for life, then you have a different mindset of how things are going. You have, I think you just going to have a lot more patience for what's to come next. And we rush through so many things in that dating process that you don't really even get a chance to know the person, or you've already had sex and now you're trying to get to know the person. So, this whole, she's 10 years old, he's 40 years old. I'm sure in this time, her family's teaching her how to cook the kind of things he likes. She's getting all kinds of input from cousins and uncles and aunties about womanhood and what to expect. We didn't get that kind of training. If anything, is you don't really even talk about sex, or the kid is so grossed out about the conversation about relationships, or you're just not relatable. So you know, I definitely think that we've been doing something wrong.
we obviously have been doing a whole lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
A
Right.
whole lot of
Right.
things wrong. Like just I mean we obviously we can see how we've lost our way as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
How far gone, how far removed we are from those kinds of responsibilities and teaching to our kids the gravity of all things. You know, So whether it be male or female, by the time to reach 10 years old, to be comfortable with to send this daughter off for marriage at 10, yeah, we are way behind. You
Right.
know, as far as like teaching our children properly everything that they're supposed to know and the gravity of things. You know, and we've allowed, you know, this culture that in this land of captivity to come in and really, you know, hinder the responsibilities of teaching to our kids. And it's made us lax in all kinds of different ways, you know. But I'm still, my head is still blown as
Right.
far
Right.
as, you
Right.
know, the age gap, the age difference. Like, because that's still, like I
Right.
said, something that we can see to this day that we definitely would frown upon. Like, nah,
Right.
we ain't doing that.
Right. Now, what I could take from this is because you gotta try to kind of vision yourself in that time. You know what I mean? Because today, I have a 10-year-old daughter. My daughter is exactly 10. Ain't no 40-year-old fool come and get her right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm just, what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just like that's like we know that's some perverted stuff right there, right? You know what I mean? But here in this scripture and what we're talking about, I don't think Sister Sharita could have said it better when she said we kind of disvalue an arrangement. You know what I mean? Arranged, but this was something arranged, appointed. You see what I'm saying? Because see, we looking at this from what it is and what but this was, remember, this was a successful marriage. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got people the same age right now that can't have a successful marriage. This was a successful
Mm-hmm.
marriage that brought along the 12 tribes. You know what I mean? This was appointed. This was appointed. You know what I mean? Like we take for granted. You know what I'm saying? Like nowadays, you can go ahead and get involved with somebody or marry somebody that you know what I'm saying that your parents don't even like. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like your parents don't even like them. Your parents didn't give the blessing on this. You mean
Oh, that's Romeo and
both?
Juliet for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So in the sense of this, I mean, you got the blessings on both sides, and this was like basically like arranged. You mean so? But the outcome of it was a successful marriage. You know what I mean? They went on to create. They went on to be the
The
matriarch and
chosen people.
patriarch of the 12 tribes. You know what I mean? I mean, now like I said, like Rob said, that's frowned upon today. You know what I mean? Like I said, ain't nobody come and get my 10-year-old daughter, but that's not this is the time that we live in right now is some type of this is too crazy right now. I told my daughter I don't know when I'm gonna ever be comfortable with her dating. He like I said, he gonna have to come over here. I'm gonna have to come over here and look at him on the couch for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because like once again, we so far removed. Like the type of home training and man training, woman training. You know, the whole everything was it was so different. You know, this is the kind of the home training we got to get back to. You know, in the training our kids up properly. You know, I'm not saying that but within the next couple years, I'm be so happy about anybody's 10-year-old daughter being given to a 14.
Right,
Nah, man.
right.
Like we ain't there yet. We are
We
not.
ain't
We
there.
are
We
not.
not there. We
Yeah,
not.
we are
Definitely
not.
not yet.
Yeah, we
Definitely
are
But
not
not
there yet,
spiritually
dog.
there as a nation. We're not. You
Nah,
know, society. We are not there.
nah.
We are not there. So it's gonna be a long time before I can see us having this kind of these kinds of arranged marriages.
Right,
But as
and
far as the home training involved into being to bringing up our sons and daughters to be able to be that kind of responsible, that's the kind of training we got to get back to.
right, and and see, maybe it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe what we got to look at too is the circumstances of the situation,
Right,
because
which
remember
we ain't there
Abraham.
yet.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta look at the circumstances of the situation. Abraham did not want him marrying, you know what I'm saying, the women of that land. He told him to go to where he came from to get a wife. You know, what if she was the only I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? What if that was
She
the
could have been the only
only
she
one
could have
that
been the
was, yeah,
oldest one. She could have been
right,
the oldest one
exactly.
out of the family.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right,
And he just had to wait till she got old enough.
Yeah.
right, right.
All right. So let's go ahead and
Or the oldest one that wasn't already married.
yep, man was different back then. Shout out to Lamera Johnson.
Shout out to my mom. That's my mother.
Yeah,
Shout out
that's why
mom.
I'm saying shout
Mom
out.
Dukes.
Showing up. Showing up. Appreciate you coming on in and chilling with us this evening, man. Showing up. Appreciate you. All praise to the Most High.
Oh, praise. Thank you for coming.
All right. So right here, let's go ahead and get back to it. And they sent Eliezer away with his men, and the servants took Rebekah, and he went and returned to his master to the land of Canaan. And Yishak took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he brought her into the tent. And Yishak was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of his uncle Bethuel, for a wife. And it was at that time when Abraham again took a wife in his old age, and her name was Keturah from the land of Canaan. And she bare unto him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuach, and Shua, actually, being 6 sons. And the children of Zimran were Abihen, Molech, and Narim. And the sons of Jokshan were Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Medan were Amida, Joab, and Gohi, or some would like to say Gucci, but I don't know about that one. Um, Elisha and Nothak, and the sons of Midian were Ephah, Epher, and Hannah, Abida, and Ildah. And the sons of Ishbak were Makiro, Beuda, or Beodua, and Tater. And the sons of Shua were Bildad, Mamdad, Munan, and Meban. All these are the families of the children of Keturah, the Canaanitish woman, which bare unto Abraham the Hebrew. And Abraham sent all these away, and he gave them gifts, and they went away from his son Yishak to dwell wherever they should find a place. And all these went to the mountain and the east and at the east, and they built themselves 6 cities in which they dwelt unto this day. But the children of Sheba and Dedan, children of Jokshan, and their children did not dwell with their brethren in their cities, and they journeyed and encamped in the countries in the wilderness unto this day. And the children of Midian, sons of Abraham, or son of Abraham, went to the east of the land of Cush. And they there found a large valley in the eastern country. And they remained there and built a city, and they dwelt therein, that is the land of Midian, unto this day. And Midian dwelt in the city which he built, and he has 5 sons, and all belonging to him. And these are the names of the sons of Midian, according to their names and their cities: Ephah, or Ephah, Epher, Hanok, or it says Shanak, but I'm gonna pronounce these with a hard H right here, this CH here. So Hana, and Abida, and Ilda. And the sons of Ephah were Mathah, Mashar, Avi, and Zenua. And the sons of Epher were Ephron, Zur, Alaron, and Medin. And the sons of Hannah were Reuel, Rakim, Azi, and Aliushab, and Alad. And the sons of Abida were Hur, Melud, Shuri, and Malchi. And the sons of Eldah were Micah, and Reba, and Machiah, and Gabal. These are the names of the Midianites according to their families, and afterward the families of Midian spread throughout the land of Midian. And these are the generations of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, whom Hagar, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And Ishmael took a wife from the land of Egypt, and her name was Ribah, the same as Meribah. And Ribah bare unto Ishmael Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, and their sister Basmath. And Ishmael cast away his wife Ribah, and she went from him and returned to Egypt to the house of her father, and she dwelt there, for she had been very bad in the sight of Ishmael and in the sight of his father Abraham. And Ishmael afterward took a wife from the land of Canaan. Her name was Mahuth, and she bare unto him Nishma, Dumah, Massa, Hadad, Tima, Yetur, Naphish, and Kedma. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, being 12 princes according to their nations, in the families of Ishmael afterward spread forth. And Ishmael took his children and all the property that they had gained, together with the souls of his household and all belonging to him. They went to dwell where they should find a place. And they went and dwelt near the wilderness of Paran. And there, dwelling from Havilah unto the shore that is before Egypt, and thou comest toward Assyria. And Ishmael, the sons of and his sons, dwelt in the land, and they had children born to them, and they were fruitful, increased abundantly. And these are the names of the sons of Nebaioth, the first son of Ishmael: Mind, Sind, Mayon. And the sons of Kedar are Alion, Kizem, Hamad, and Eli. And the sons of Adbeel were Hamad and Jabin. And the sons of Mibsam were Obadiah, Abedmelech, and Yeush. These are the families of the children of Ribah, the wife of Ishmael. And the sons of Mishma, the son of Ishmael, were Shemur, Zechariah, and Obed. And the sons of Duma were Kezed, Eli, Mahmad, and Ahmed. And the sons of Massa were Melon, Mula, and Abedadon. And the sons of Hadad were Azur, Minzar, and Abedmelech. And the sons of Tema were Seir, Sidon, and Yakal. And the sons of Yetur were Mereth, Yaish, Alio, and Pahath. The sons of Naphish were Ebed Tamed, Abiyasaph, and Mir. And the sons of Kedma were Kalip, Tokti, and Omar. or Mir. These were the children of Mahuth, the wife of Ishmael, according to their families. Boy, those names be killing me. I just gotta say that, like that, man. I'm open for the correct pronunciation on those. So if my pronunciation really is all that bad, it's all good. Somebody pray for me. I'll get these right someday. Uh, and these are the families of Ishmael according to their generations. And they dwelt in those lands wherein they had built themselves cities unto this day. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the wife of Abraham's son Ishak, was barren in those days, and she had no offspring. And Ishak dwelt with his father in the land of Canaan. And Yahuwah was with Ishak. And Arpachshad, the son of Shem, the son of Noah, died in those days. In the 48th year of the life of Ishak, and all the days that Arpachshad lived were 438 years, and he died. And in the 59th year of the life of Ishak, the son of Abraham, Rebekah, his wife, was still barren in those days. So just a second ago, okay, that puts her at 18. And then I'm just trying to pay attention to how long she was barren from up until, because it's just strange. All that's just strange. In the 59th year of the life of Ishak, the son of Abraham, Rebekah, his wife, was still barren in those days. So she was probably in her 20s, right around here. And Rebekah said unto Ishak, truly I have heard, my Adonai, that thy mother Sarah was barren in her days until my Adonai Abraham, thy father, prayed for her, and she conceived by him. Now therefore stand up and pray also to Elohim, and he will hear thy prayer and remember us through his mercies. And Ishak answered his wife Rebekah, saying, Abraham has already prayed for me to Elohim to multiply his seed. Now therefore this barrenness must proceed to us from thee. And Rebekah said unto him, But arise now thou also and pray, that Yahuwah may hear thy prayer and grant me children. And Ishak hearkened to the words of his wife. And Ishak and his wife rose up and went to the land of Moriah to pray there and to seek Yahuwah. And when they had reached that place, Ishak stood up and prayed to Yahuwah on account of his wife, because she was barren. And Ishak said, O Yahuwah, Elohim of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercies fill the earth, thou who didst take my father from his father's house and from his birthplace, and didst bring him unto this land, and didst say unto him, To thy seed will I give the land, and thou didst promise him, and didst declare unto him, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand of the sea. Now may thy words be verified, which thou didst speak unto my father. For thou art Yahuwah, our Elohim. Our eyes are toward thee to give us seed of men, as thou didst promise us. For thou art Yahuwah, our Elohim, and our eyes are directed toward thee only. And Yahuwah heard the prayer of Ishak, the son of Abraham, and Yahuwah was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And in about 7 months after the children struggled together within her, and it pained her greatly that she was wearied on account of them. And she said to all the women who were then in the land, Did such a thing happen to you as it has to me? And they said to her, Nope. And she said unto them, Why am I alone in this amongst all the women that are upon the earth? And she went to the land of Moriah to seek Yahuwah on account of this. And she went to Shem and Eber, his son, to make inquiries of them in this matter. and they should seek that they should seek Yahuwah in this thing respecting her. And she also asked Abraham to seek and inquire of Yahuwah about all that had befallen her. And they all inquired of Yahuwah concerning this matter. And they brought her word from Yahuwah and told her, 2 children are in thy womb, and 2 nations shall rise from them, and 1 nation shall be stronger than the other, and the greater shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were completed, she knelt down, and behold, there were twins in her womb, as Yahuwah had spoken to her. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and all the people of the land called his name Esau, saying that this one was made complete from the womb. And after that came his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Therefore they called his name Jacob. And Yishak, the son of Abraham, was 60 years old when he begat them. And the boys grew up to their 15th year, and they came amongst the society of men. Esau was a designing and deceitful man, and an expert hunter in the field. And Jacob was a man perfect and wise, dwelling in tents, feeding flocks, and learning the instructions of Yahuwah, and the commands of his father and mother. And Yishak and the children of his household dwelt with his father Abraham in the land of Canaan, as Elohim had commanded them. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, went with his children and all belonging to them, and they returned there to the land of Havilah, and they dwelt there. And all the children of Abraham's concubines went to dwell in the land of the east, for Abraham had sent them away from his son, and had given them presents, and they went away. And Abraham gave all that he had to his son Yishak, and he also gave him all his treasures. And he commanded him, saying, Dost thou not know and understand Yahuwah is Elohim in heaven and in earth, and there is no other beside him? And it was he who took me from my father's house, and from my birthplace, and gave me all the delights upon the earth, who delivered me from the counsel of the wicked, for in him did I trust. And he brought me to this place, and he delivered me from Kasdim. And he said unto me, To thy seed will I give all these lands, and they shall inherit them, when they keep my commandments, my statutes, and my judgments that I have commanded thee, in which I shall command them. Now therefore, my son, hearken to my voice, and keep the commandments of Yahuwah thy Elohim, which I command thee. Do not turn from the right way, either to the right or to the left, in order that it may be well with thee and thy children after thee forever. And remember the wonderful works of Yahuwah and his kindness, and he has shown toward us, and having delivered us from the hands of our enemies. And Yahuwah, our Elohim, caused them to fall into our hands. And now therefore keep all that I have commanded thee, and turn not away from the commandments of thy Elohim, and serve none beside him, in order that it may be well with thee and to thy seed after thee. And teach thou thy children and thy seed the instructions of Yahuwah and his commandments, and teach them the upright way in which they should go, in order that it may be well with them forever. And Yishak answered his father and said unto him, That which my Adonai has commanded, that will I do, and I will not depart from the commands of Yahuwah, my Elohim, and I will keep all that he command me. And Abraham blessed his son Yishak, and also his children. And Abraham taught Jacob the instruction of Yahuwah and his ways. And it was at that time that Abraham died, in the 15th year of the life of Jacob and Esau, the sons of Yishak. And all the days of Abraham were 175 years, and he died, and was gathered to his people in good old age, old and satisfied with days. And Yishak and Ishmael, his sons, buried him. Excuse me. And when the inhabitants of Canaan heard that Abraham was dead, they all came with their kings and princes and all their men to bury Abraham, and all the inhabitants of the land of Haran, and all the families of the house of Abraham, and all the princes and grandees, and the sons of Abraham by the concubines, all came when they heard of Abraham's death, and they requited Abraham's kindness, and comforted Yishak his son. And they buried Abraham in the cave which he bought from Ephron the Hittite and his children for the possession of a burial place. And all the inhabitants of Canaan and all those who had known Abraham wept for Abraham for a whole year, and men and women mourned over him. And all the little children and all the inhabitants of the land wept on account of Abraham, for Abraham had been good to all of them, and because he had been upright with Elohim and men. And there arose not a man who feared Elohim like unto Abraham, for he had feared his Elohim from his youth, and had served Yahuwah, who had gone in all his ways during his life, from his childhood to the day of his death. And Yahuwah was with him, and delivered him from the counsel of Nimrod and his people. And when he made war with the 4 kings of Elam, he conquered them. And he brought all the children of the earth to the service of Elohim. And he taught them the ways of Yahuwah, and caused them to know Yahuwah. And he formed a grove, and he planted a vineyard therein. And he had always prepared in his tent meat and drink to those that passed through the land, that they might satisfy themselves in his house. And Yahuwah Elohim delivered the whole earth on account of Abraham. And it was after the death of Abraham that Elohim blessed his son Yishak and his children, and Yahuwah was with Yishak. And he had been with his father as he had been with his father Abraham. For Yishak kept all the commandments of Yahuwah as Abraham his father had commanded him. He did not turn to the right or to the left from the right path, which his father had commanded him. And Esau at that time, after the death of Abraham, frequently went in the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel, who also frequently went with his mighty men to the hunt, or to hunt in the field, and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. And on a certain day Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they removed at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself for Nimrod, and he lurked for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and 2 of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place, and drew his sword, and hasted and ran to Nimrod, and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the 2 men that were with Nimrod, when they called out to him. Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go to the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those 2 men, and they ran to know the cause of it. When they found their king and the 2 men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled, and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land. And he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city on account of Nimrod's men. And he came into his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight. And he was ready to die through grief. And he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. And he said unto his brother Jacob, Behold, I shall die this day. And wherefore do I want the birthright? And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by Yahuwah. And Esau's portion in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham had bought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial ground, Esau also sold to Jacob. And Jacob bought it all from his brother Esau for value given. And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it. And the book remained in the hands of Jacob. And when Nimrod, the son of Cush, died, his men lifted him up and brought him in consternation and buried him in his city. And all the days that Nimrod lived were 215 years, and he died. And the days that Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land were 185 years. And Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt. And the seed of Abraham caused his death, as he had seen in his dream. And at the death of Nimrod, his kingdom became divided into many divisions, and all those parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to the respective kings of the land, who recovered them after the death of Nimrod. And all the people of the house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved to the other kings of the land. The last one right here. And in those days, after the death of Abraham, in that year, Yahuwah brought a heavy famine in the land. And whilst the famine was raging in the land of Canaan, Yishak rose up to go down to Egypt on account of the famine, as his father Abraham had done. And Yahuwah appeared that night to Yishak and said to him, Do not go down to Egypt, but rise and go to Gerar, to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and remain there till the famine shall cease. And Yishak rose up and went to Gerar, as Yahuwah commanded him. And he remained there a full year. And when Yishak came to Gerar, the people of the land saw that Rebekah, his wife, was of a beautiful appearance. And that the people of Gerar asked Yishak concerning his wife, and he said, She is my sister. For he was afraid to say she was his wife, lest the people of the land should slay him on account of her. And the princes of Abimelech went and praised the woman to the king, but he answered them not, neither did he attend to their words. But he heard them say that Yishak declared her to be his sister. So the king reserved this within himself. And when Yishak had remained there 3 months in the land, Abimelech looked out at the window, and he saw, and behold, Yishak was sporting with Rebekah his wife. For Yishak dwelt in the outer house belonging to the king, so that the house of Yishak was opposite the house of the king. And the king said unto Yishak, What is this thou hast done to us, saying that thy wife, she is my sister? How easily might one of the great men of the people have lain with her, and thou wouldest then have brought guilt upon us. And Yishak said unto Abimelech, Because I was afraid lest I die on account of my wife. Therefore I said, She is my sister. At that time Abimelech gave orders to all his princes and great men, and they took Yishak and Rebekah his wife and brought them before the king. And the king commanded that they should dress them in princely garments, and make them ride through the streets of the city, and proclaim before them throughout the land, saying, This is the man or this is the man, and this is his wife. Whoever toucheth this man or his wife shall surely die. And Yishak returned with his wife to the king's house. And Yahuwah was with Yishak, and he continued to wax great and lacked nothing. And Yahuwah caused Yishak to find favor in the sight of Abimelech, and in the sight of all his subjects. And Abimelech acted well with Yishak, for Abimelech remembered the oath and the covenant and that existed between his father and Abraham. And Abimelech said unto Yishak, Behold, the whole earth is before thee. Dwell wherever it may seem good in thy sight, until thou shalt return to thy land. And Abimelech gave Yishak fields and vineyards in the best part of the land of Gerar, to sow and reap and eat the fruits of the ground until the days of the famine should have passed by. And Yishak sowed in the land and received 100-fold in the same year, and Yahuwah blessed him. And the man waxed great, and he had possession and flocks and possession of herds and a store of servants. And when the days of the famine had passed away, Yahuwah appeared to Yishak and said unto him, Rise up, go forth from this place, and return to thy land, to the land of Canaan. And Yishak rose up and returned to Hebron, which is in the land of Canaan, and all belonging to him as Yahuwah commanded. And after this, Shalak, the son at Arpachshad, died in that year, which is the 18th year of the lives of Jacob and Esau. And all the days that Shalak or Shalah lived were 433 years, and he died. And at that time, Yishak sent his younger son Jacob to the house of Shem and Eber, and he learned the instructions of Yahuwah. And Jacob remained in the house of Shem and Eber for 32 years. And Esau, his brother, did not go, for he was not willing to go. And he remained in his father's house in the land of Canaan. And Esau was continually hunting in the fields to bring home what he could get. So did Esau all the days. And Esau was a designing and deceitful man, one who hunted after the hearts of men and inveigled them. And Esau was a valiant man in the field, and in the course of time went as usual to hunt. And he came as far as the field of Seir, the same as Edom. And he remained in the land of Seir, hunting in the field 1 year and 4 months. And Esau there saw in the land of Seir, the daughter of a man of Canaan, and her name was Yehudith, and the daughter of Beeri, the son of Ephah, from the families of Heth, the son of Canaan. And Esau took her for a wife, and came unto her. 40 years old was Esau when he took her, and he brought her to Hebron, the land of his father's dwelling place, and he dwelt there. And it came to pass in those days, in the 110th year of the life of Yishak, that is in the 15th or 50th year of the life of Jacob, and that in that year died Shem, the son of Noah. Shem was 600 years old at his death. And when Shem died, Jacob returned to his father to Hebron, which is in the land of Canaan. In the 56th year of the life of Jacob, people came from Haran, and Rebekah was told concerning her brother Laban, the son of Bethuel. And for the wife of Laban was barren in those days, and bare no children. And also all his handmaids bare none to him. And Yahuwah afterward remembered Adinah, the wife of Laban, and she conceived and bare twin daughters. And Laban called the names of his daughters, the name of the elder Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel. So that's something right there, right quick. I didn't know that Leah and Rachel were twins.
Right.
I didn't know
And
that.
that's how Laban tricked Yaakov later down the line.
Right. 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 Yeah, if they twins, that's easy to go ahead and set up a nice little trick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a definite strange one right there.
Well, that's even just nice to see in the Bible itself that they were twins even then.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, unless you think about it, you don't realize how similar things are back then, or that I mean, twins is such a rare occasion. At least it used to be when we were growing up. You might have had, a set of twins you knew about, or you had a cousin or somebody that knew of some twins. But it was a very, dry, jaw dropping or staring event when you saw two twins.
Mm-hmm. You still there, sis?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, okay.
Or here rather. I
No
mean, now you
doubt.
got 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them popping out nowadays. I, they got a story about that in there.
I don't know about that one.
I don't
Um,
either.
got one last sentence right here, and that'll finish off the reading for the night. And those people came and told these things. Let's go ahead and go back real quick because we saw that Laban had twin daughters, and Laban called the names of his daughters the name of the elder Leah and the name of the younger Rachel. And those people came and told these things to Rebekah. And Rebekah rejoiced greatly that Yahuwah had visited her brother and that he had gotten children, or that he had got children. So this is going to be a nice little cliffhanger right here. And one thing I do want to do, if I can, is I could have sworn that I had saved. Let me see if I can do it like this. Hmm. I'm trying to share that PDF because that's one thing I forgot to do is share this PDF link with everybody, and I wanted to make sure everybody had this. Here we go. Copy. There you go, everybody. So that that's the PDF we're reading from, and I do apologize for the wait on that, very much so. So that way, in your own spare time, if you don't have this, you can read that, and so that's just always good to have. And then let me go ahead and do this too. And for those of y'all that don't have the Book of Jubilees, I want to go ahead and give y'all that as well, because after we get through this, we're definitely gonna come back to the Book of Jubilees. Oh, oh, I messed up. Had it there for a second. All right, copy. There you go. There's both PDFs right there. The first link, this one right here, is going to be the Book of Jasher, and the Book of Jubilees right there for you. Um, yeah, so these are definite good readings and things. I'm definitely loving doing this. Um, and it's all for the family, you know. Because, like I said before, I know I'm not the only one that's been wanting to read these books and these scriptures, and I've kind of had a problem in on my own, just straight out admitting just reading by myself. I've been reaching out for people to read with for a grip, and so now there's kind of like no excuse.
No
Right,
excuse for
right,
either
No
right,
of us.
excuse.
right, right.
So to go ahead and read, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, sis. Time well spent. Shalom, family. Sister Sheila Jackson. Sure enough, appreciate you.
Yeah, shout out
Yes,
Shona
appreciate
Say,
you.
man.
Thank you.
We appreciate everybody for joining in, man. Shalom, family.
Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, and
I appreciate you, sis. Auntie, actually, I can call. Yeah, I can call. That's Auntie right there. That's Auntie Cam 2 player. You know, she had to correct me and everything. The last time around, I was like, I'm a 70-year-old woman. That's oh my bad, Auntie.
Oh man, thank
My
you for
bad.
coming.
right,
All praise to the
right,
Most
right.
High Yah for you
All
coming.
praise.
All praise. Definitely love it. Very much appreciated.
I would
But
love to hear that story.
right,
Right,
Yes.
right, right.
yeah. So out of everything that we got tonight, family, what's pretty much one of the best things I think we got up out of this tonight?
That keep focused on God's word and his plan. Do not be deceived. Do not be led astray. Do not look to the right or to the left, but stay on the straight and narrow.
Right. Um, I got a lot from I didn't have my notebook today like I usually have, y'all. So you know, we didn't get to pause at a lot of stuff, but I was excited because I was like, I wanted to stop you, Ross, when you was reading, but I was like, nah, man, we got to give Brother Ross a hand clap for the reading too, man, because
Yes,
yeah, because I wanted to stop you because I was like, yo, is that the cave? That's the cave, huh?
that's the cave.
That's the cage for the big G fight. That's the cage right there,
When
man.
we get into Saturday, it's gonna be some juicy stuff, right?
Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's definitely the cave right there.
And
For
that's the
yeah,
book. And that's the book that Joseph sent Nathalie to go get. Remember?
yep.
The book.
Yeah, see now
Wow.
you're gonna have see. I'm kind of glad you didn't stop me on that one because we would have got to talking about future events that we ain't got to just
Right,
yet.
right,
You had me
Right?
scrolling
right.
forward, man, because you getting all excited. Like so, yeah, family, definitely for the like you said that's the cave for the big G fight later on down the line as we're gonna get to. This
Yeah.
wow, it's gonna go down in that cave later down the
Right,
line.
Yeah. That should go down on Saturday. Saturday is gonna be a good read. It's got a lot of good stuff.
right, right.
And if you feel like it, I guess you could read ahead since Ross has sent you that link. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
some really good, yeah, it's some
yeah.
really good
Right,
stuff
right,
coming up.
right.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I'm actually now tomorrow I work a double tomorrow at the restaurant. So
Okay.
Thursday I'm definitely down to jump back on Thursday. I grabbed some more
Okay.
music videos and stuff to either do on Thursday or something like that. But I work Friday evening. Of course, I got Shabbat off, and then I work Sunday morning at the restaurant.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
still
my service
scrambled.
schedule is all kinds of it's all kinds of out
Yeah,
there.
I'm still scrambled from the Louisiana weather down here. You know, we don't know if it's gonna snow tomorrow or not. Nah, I'm just playing, but nah, but I'm
Being
still
funny.
scrambled down here. You know, because so Saturday probably gonna be the only the good day for me.
Okay. Saturday sounds good then.
Yeah,
No doubt. So I'm down for either one. If y'all want to wait till Saturday to come back on for more reading, that's cool. But I definitely wouldn't mind getting some more of this reading in on Thursday too.
yeah. We can get it in. We can get it in on Thursday, but cause I think I know I'll go back to work Thursday. I don't know if there's a. I mean, we probably. I mean, maybe if we could get it a little bit started, cranked up a little bit more earlier. I mean, you know how to get in touch with me, Roz. You know, you can just hit me up and be like, "Yo, is it
Right.
cool? We could do it." You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
know how
I'm
we
just
do.
gotta make sure both of y'all schedules on point with it too,
Right,
because I like having both of y'all here. Like I said, out of the mouths of two or three witnesses, the matter should be established. That's scripture. That's Deuteronomy, and it's also good to have different point of views. That's
right.
the beauty of what we're doing.
Yeah, we got an iron sharpen iron.
Oh yeah.
Y'all
So
definitely sharpened me up today, that's for sure.
I got hit too, man. I got hit too. I ain't gonna lie, man. Like a lot of it, like even just with the faith of
hey,
that
yep.
faith of Abraham, it just it makes you
Mm,
wonder. It makes you wonder, like, hey, what am I getting fought against? Or maybe like it's just okay. What should I be having more? You know what I'm saying? What should I be having more faith on? You know what I mean? Makes you question or it makes or it really should motivate you to be like let me go out there and try to at least walk a half of Abraham's faith. You know what I mean? I think a
mm.
half would do me good. The
Shoot.
faith he had.
Just to be able to listen to God's voice, I mean, and be able to hear it loud and clear. I mean, I don't know about everybody else on this panel, but sometimes it's just so faint. I know it's there. It's in my heart. I know it's there. And sometimes it's so much louder and clearer than other times. So, I mean, I guess my real prayer is to make sure that I can hear him loud and clear, and that, you know, that when the devil creeps in there, I can point him out. I have discerning heart. I know God's voice above his.
And see, that's exactly why amen, amen. And
Right.
it's not you just confirmed something from earlier on today with me. Is I was kind of struggling getting back into reading a little bit because I didn't sleep much last night. Um, but got up early this morning and ended up going back to sleep, and then got back up, and then I was trying to read this morning, and like right around 10, I stayed up for a couple hours and things, and I was just like read a couple verses, and I started getting sleepy, and I went ahead, I was like, all right, I'll just go ahead and take a little nap, and I'll get back up, and I'll read again. And basically what I'm trying to get at is, even though I was slack with that and reading what I was doing, what you confirmed on me was the more you read the Father's word, the more you can apply it to your real life. And that's
That
where our
I that
discernment's going to come from. And that's how, when you read so much of his word, you've already heard him give you the advice in
mm,
so many
mm,
areas,
Right.
so many areas. And that's
That
why
voice
the
get
hunger
loud.
and thirst for his word is so important. So that way, when the devil pops up in your face with whatever trick he tries to pop up with, the Father is
mm.
already
Say
giving
that.
you how to handle it. But that's why we got to get into his word more. You know,
Right.
That armor.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's how that armor is
Exactly.
fashioned.
Man,
Exactly.
this was good. I don't know. I don't know what y'all came to do, but I came to praise his name. Hey.
Mm.
Oh, y'all
All
just don't
praise,
know. I
man.
needed this today.
Oh, and your mama gonna be right here again too next time, bro. So I sure enough appreciate it. I sure
Ain't no
enough
mom like
appreciate
my
it.
mom, man. I say
Hey,
that
I
all the
loved it.
time, man. Yeah,
I
ain't no
loved it.
mom like my mom.
That's good right there. Well, family, anybody got any final words, final thoughts?
Come on and meet with us again so we can get some more armor, y'all. I'm telling you, I needed this. I can't express that enough. I got a new piece of armor to go back out into this world with tomorrow. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Right.
Amen.
And shalom, shalom. I just want to thank everybody for coming in and listening to it. You know what I mean? Listening to us, you know, actually just, read the word of the Most High. We really just, and I can't stress it more that, that we when we come together like this and just reading his word just in the purity of it, just reading the word, it comes out the page and it actually just starts speaking, you know what I mean? He, I really feel what both of y'all were saying. Like, when you read when you read his word or just be around his word and you meditate on that word, his voice is more clearer, and you can't really, you know what I'm saying, you can't be tricked or you can't be fooled, because just like if you know my voice, you know what I mean, if you know my voice, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you know my voice, I do music. If somebody know my voice, they can't be like, oh man, Harry made a song, and they know it's like, oh, okay, it's not that don't sound like him, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, like, when you around his word and you're around, you know, meditating on that word, when you hear him, you know what I mean? You can't be tricked. Nobody else can come and really get in between that, you know what I mean? It's all about the relationship. And I think that what we're doing here, we're really just sharpening up, and really building, you know what I mean? And I hope that everybody's getting a good and pure, you know what I'm saying, getting a good read and getting a good build on this. And I'm just glad that we can actually sit down there and do this, because like I said, I'm honest too. I don't, I feel like, I've read Jasher, but I feel like I don't read enough, you know. And this is the time I can come here and get that word. So shalom, family. What you got?
Well, Auntie asked me to pray us out. You got anything left, sis? Before I
I
let him pray us
don't
out? All right.
know. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pray us on out, and by request of Auntie Kim too. So let's go ahead and bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessings you've given us and the blessings that you will give. But most importantly, thank you for the love that you gave us to save us. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that we got a chance to come together and have another family reunion, no matter what time of day or night, and have this family reunion with each other to learn your word, so that way we can build and fashion this spiritual armor after your son, Yahushua HaMashiach, you know, so that way the ministry that you've laid down before us, Father, we can achieve that and we can handle that path because we've been armored up with your word. We have your instruction, and we're just trying to learn it, go deeper and further than, most other places have tried to show us, and just really talk about it and really talk with you, Father. And we welcome you and we thank you for welcoming us back once again to read your word. It's an honor and a blessing to even be doing this at all. Something I never thought I'd do in my life, and this is all for you, Father. No matter what, we all come to you, and no matter what we get from this and take back to our hoods, it's all yours, Father. No matter what, that has to be the ultimate understanding about all of this and any of this. None of us are seeking to be glorified nor exalted. This is you, Father. We exalt you. We glorify you and your word for how you teach us and bring us home to you, Father. You've given us the instruction on how to come home, and that's where we want to go, is home to you. Is, no other place, no other way. Straight and narrow is the way. I know it's hard. This faith walk ain't no cakewalk, but I know you're with us, Father. I know you want to guide us. You want to show us how to do this, Father. So we thank you and we exalt your holy name. Ahaya, Ashor, Ahaya. I am that I am. We bless you. We praise you, Father Yah. We bless you and praise you for everything you do for us, Father Yah. And in your holy and blessed, beautiful name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. Thank you, family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All praise to the Most High Yah.
All praise.
And I'm gonna go ahead and back us out and hit the outro video. Most High willing, we'll see y'all again on Thursday evening.